Hi, thank you for checking out my talk today. I'm Wendy Adams. I'm at the Colorado School of Mines, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the Get the Facts Out project. We're going to talk about recruiting physics teachers in a virtual world. Specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about how we've modified things this year for virtual delivery, and we've got a new pre-post test for both the faculty and the student presentations that'll show us what parts of the presentation are working well with audiences and which parts aren't. And we've also got specific examples that we would like to share from some different universities on how they've adjusted to reach students this year. We've also have a couple other resource updates that I'll share with you. We've got an updated poster series that we're pretty excited about. And we're working on building out a Get the Facts Out user guide. And I'm hoping you can give me some feedback today in the comment section or come to our Q&A and tell us what you think of that and if you think that would be useful for you and how you'd like that to look. So the Get the Facts Out project is a one of its kind partnership between the American Physical Society, the American Association of Physics Teachers, the American Chemical Society, and the Association of Mathematics Teacher Educators. And the Colorado School of Mines leads the project and does the research component as well as the development of the resources. And so what this project is we are trying to help people who are working to recruit teachers into their programs. And so we've built out resources, and these resources are research-based, user-tested, and we continually are modifying them and updating them to make them work. And so this QR code and that link will take you to our website, and on our website we have posters, brochures, presentations for students, presentations for faculty, a flyer template that you can use for your program. And then, of course, we've got our perception survey, which I'm not going to really talk about today, the PTAP and the PTAFE, but a couple of the other talks in this session will present some data on those that we've gotten this year. And then we also have strategies and tips on how to become a GFO champion, how to reach students, tested messaging, how to share your passion with students, and then there's a little quiz there to test your knowledge. So these are some of the resources on our site. Please feel free to check it out. So again, we're going to talk about how we've modified our presentations for virtual delivery. And so we updated the presentations extensively for the faculty and staff presentation. We did a major rework of that format to make it more straightforward to hand off to other presenters. The way we did it before, it required a lot of facilitation of conversation and facilitation of multiple topics at once. And so we've changed it to be much more straightforward. It's still a very interactive presentation. And that also automatically made it work well for virtual environments, which was convenient considering what happened this spring. And then we've got updated images and data in both the student and the faculty presentation. And we've created separate versions for different length presentations and different audience types. So for the student presentation, we now have on the website a 15-minute version as well as a 30-minute version. And this QR code will take you directly to that page if you'd like to check those out and download those. They're in PowerPoint, so they're easy for you to modify as needed. We've also got a faculty presentation, again, another QR code for you to go check it out if you'd like. Again, a major rework of how it's laid out. And there is a 15-minute version now, and in the past, the way that it was set up, we couldn't do it in less than basically a full hour workshop. And now we can do something that's showing to be pretty effective in 15 minutes. And then we also have the versions up there. Let's say that instead of just sharing the facts, you also wanted to share what the resources are with a colleague or with a set of colleagues, maybe the advisors at your university, and you want them to see the posters, the brochures, and the presentations themselves. That's what the Creating New GFO Champions versions are for, including the 4-hour workshop version, which we are doing here at this conference. And then we've also increased the detail of presentation notes to help you see how we've presented it so you can get ideas on what you want to do. We've added something that we called the Fidelity of Implementation Checklist that our external evaluator helped us develop. And it talks about the key features of what we think makes this presentation effective so that when you do modify it, you're aware of the pieces and parts that we think are critical to its effectiveness so that you can decide what you want to do. And then we've added a pre-post survey monkey within each presentation. And there's also a pre-registration link. And so if you do the pre-registration link, then our external evaluator knows that you're going to give a presentation and she can be ready to evaluate your data. So this way you don't even have to evaluate your own data. It'll be done for you, which I think is pretty amazing. I have really enjoyed this benefit myself. And then we added a self-assessment at the end so that you can check and see if the way that you presented it and how it went the way you wanted, and if it seems to align with the effective features. So the presentation pre-post, I'm going to talk a little bit about our data we've gotten, but in the slides, we've added slides with the link and the QR code to the pre-post. It's on SurveyMonkey, as I said. The post follows the pre. It seems to be very user-friendly. I've used it probably close to 10 times now, and it seems to be, it doesn't seem to be problematic for the users. So you just use the slides that are online right now. This will be in there, and your audience will automatically do the pre and post, and then Stephanie will send you your results. So here are some of my results, well, some results from the project. The first one was actually given by a different facilitator at a regional noise conference, and there were 21 people who responded. I think there were 25 people in the room. You can see the pre-post results. The normalized gain was really quite respectable at 70%. And there was an effect size of 2.25, which is really, really good. That means she moved people more than 2 standard deviations. And then there is an example of a site visit that we did right before things shut down. We were able to do an in-person site visit, and we had an hour presentation with 3 different groups of faculty. And you can see our pre-post results, and our normalized gain was, we were very, very happy with that. And the effect size was 3.5. So these are both in-person events. And that second one I was presenting, and the first one somebody else was presenting. So you can see that it works well to have different people presenting other than just the person who developed it. So next, I'm going to show you some data from when we used it virtually. So these were our first opportunities to present these presentations virtually, which was pretty nerve-wracking. So the first one, fortunately, was a small group at one of our sites, and we were presenting to advisors there. And you can see from the pretest that they were not new to GFO, and we still had a good normalized gain and a good effect size. But that was a pretty long presentation, so we had plenty of time to work with them. And then we did an experiment with a 15-minute version. This was the first time we used the 15-minute version. There was an alumni event at the School of Mines where I'm at, and they asked if I wanted to present about the teaching profession. So I spent 15 minutes on getting the facts out and 15 minutes about our program there to our alumni. Probably twice as many people were on Zoom as did the pre-post, but we did get a good number of responses. I made the mistake of having the post at the very end. I've learned it needs to be 5 or 10 minutes before the end to get the best results. If you do it at the end, I guess people are ready to log off. And from the pretest, you can see these folks were pretty new to the ideas. We still had some good gain, but not as good as I would like to see, but it was 15 minutes. And so I was happy because a lot of the questions on the pre-post are not covered in the 15-minute version. So then just several more, we were able to present to a large group of HBCUs that are part of HBCU Teach, and that was a full presentation. It was a large group. There were probably 70 people on the call. 30 did the pre-post. We still had a good gain, a good effect size. Then we did a 20-minute presentation, so I cheated a little on the 15-minute and added a few more facts, and it worked out because I got a good post-test score. But you can see the effect size on these 15-minute versions are our smallest effect sizes, which makes sense. Then a 30-minute version at the same site, bigger effect size because I had longer to talk about the material. And finally, we did a really large presentation with AAPT Arise, and they've been doing these virtual presentations just starting this year. This is the group that organizes the Noise Conference, and since the Noise Conference had to go virtual, they moved the workshops during the year into this format. And so it was a different platform. It wasn't Zoom. It was hard to engage with people. We couldn't see the audience. They couldn't talk to us. The chat feature was difficult to find for most people. That was one of the biggest comments we got in our evaluation. But we still had some good gain and a good effect size. So with those challenges, you can see we had 130 people there, 71 did the pre-post. So you can get an idea of a little bit less engagement virtually, but still pretty good, pretty acceptable. So that's kind of the data we've been seeing. For the student presentation, we only introduced the pre-post here a couple months ago. We've only used it a couple of times. There's an example here. This first one technically is the faculty pre-post used with students. And it was at Miami University. She was still able to get some good movement, some good gain, a good effect size. And then we did a 20-minute presentation in person outdoors using handouts, since we didn't have power for a PowerPoint presentation for a projector, and we needed to be outside because we didn't know how large our group would be, and we had, of course, we have size limitations on who can be inside, and we wanted to have pizza, and you can't eat inside, and so we had individually wrapped slices of pizza. We still did our liquid nitrogen ice cream, which we individually served, and met all of the guidelines for our university for food handling and for social distancing. And we had, I'll talk more about that here in a little bit, but I put 6+5 because I forgot to ask people to take the post test, but because of the way it's set up, quite a few automatically just went ahead and did it because the SurveyMonkey tells you you're going to take a post test. You can see that our pre-test results were a little bit high because we had some of our students who are already in the program and have already heard the presentation or are familiar with a lot of the facts in there. And we also had new students in there. Post-test results were good. And the normalized gain isn't as large since they started out pretty good. And so just to note, I've already mentioned this. People ask me, do we have data that, this is really short-term data. We're seeing if people know the facts immediately after the presentation with this pre-post. So what kind of retention is there? Are they remembering the facts later on? And so I would argue that I think they are. And the reason I'm saying this is because you can see on a few of these site visits, there were some experienced GFOers there, and so the average pretest score was higher in those cases. Otherwise, the pretest scores are usually about 25%. Same with the student presentation. And what I'm showing here is a histogram of the pretest scores for one of our presentations. That's actually the HBCU Teach presentation. And this is what all of our histograms are looking like, unless the audience is completely new to it. You'll see the new people down at the bottom of the histogram, and then you'll see that there are a couple of experienced people up at the upper end. And it's always, separated like this. There's not a range of pretest scores. It's either people know the material or they don't. So I would argue that this is some evidence that people are holding on to the facts once they've heard it. It's obviously not, the absolute perfect rock solid evidence, but it's some evidence that this is working. So I just wanted to mention again that this pre-post test isn't just something we do internally. This has been put into the slide decks. It's been uploaded to our website, and these slides are there for you to use. The links are functioning SurveyMonkey links. You can let, through the pre-registration form, you can let Stephanie know that you are about to do a presentation. Now, if you forget to let her know in advance, she's still going to see this data come in. And there is a place for the person who fills out the pre-post to say who the presenter is. And she can hopefully track you down, but it's sure a lot easier if you let her know that you did do a presentation so she knows that it's your data that came in. And then she'll analyze it for you and send it to you with a lot more information than what I just shared with you here. Okay, so I wanted to share some specific examples from different universities on how they've adjusted to reach students. At Mines, we kind of had a spring registration panic because our recruitment event happened on March 11th and on March 13th. That was our last in-person class. So advising was supposed to happen the next week. We always do it in person, and it had to become virtual. Students weren't used to that. We weren't used to that. We had a pretty poor turnout. And the Daily Blast is something where we can announce things every day. You can post whatever you want to in the Daily Blast for everybody on campus to see. And that was halted so that a different type of announcement about what was going on with the campus and how we were adjusting to the latest events was all that was being shared with the campus. And so we ended up with one student in one class and two in another. So that was extremely scary. Other courses were enrolling pretty normally, but we depend on our recruitment because this is not a regular major on our campus. This is something students do in addition to. But we recovered. We did a direct email on Friday, July 3rd. I put the date because that's maybe not the smartest date to do a direct email, but it actually got quite a bit of interest, and we had some advising appointments, and we had people signing up for some of the classes. And then on Tuesday, August 18th, I say Tuesday because I really wanted to do it on Monday because that's the week before classes started, but we got it out Tuesday. And we had another flurry, and then it continued into the first week of classes. And by the end of the first week of classes, one of our classes was completely full, and the other one was one of our highest enrollments we've had. So we recovered. It was amazing. I don't know how it worked out, but we just had to find new ways to reach the students, and the students had to get their feet back under them. And then Celebration of Minds, right before the semester started, also had to pivot. It is an event where the new students come into campus, learn about all the different resources and opportunities on campus, including all the student clubs, different programs, and things that they can participate in. And normally that's an event where there's presentations in the morning, and then in the afternoon there's a giant gymnasium full of tables, and students can walk around and talk to different programs, and it's very social and very interactive. And all of that went online. And what they said is, if you want to participate, you have to create a video. We weren't excited to create a video, but we had no choice if we wanted to participate. And now we are so happy that we did. Here's a QR code to see the video if you would like to. We ended up posting the video on our webpage because we were so happy with how it came out. And it gets watched, it looks like, according to our analytics, it gets watched fairly regularly. And as I mentioned, our first week of classes, the course enrollment was better than usual. So this fall, we've continued to had to adjust, and we've continued to try new things. So there is a virtual Discover Minds. Discover Minds is for prospective students. Again, normally it's on a Saturday. Students come, there's presentations, and then they do booths. It's not a lot different from the summer activities. The first one was a complete fail. They did all the presentations online, and by the afternoon, when students could go around and visit the virtual booths of different programs, they were gone. The students that did come said they were exhausted from all the presentations in the morning. They were on Zoom. So the second one, they switched it, and they allowed the students to go visit different programs in different places first, and then they did presentations in the afternoon, and it was much more successful. There was a lot more engagement. Students came and visited our website, had a spike, and we had a good number of people checking out our web page. And so that was really nice. They chatted with some of our students online. And then we did our recruitment event outdoors, which I already mentioned to you. And we had the daily blast back so we could advertise the normal way about the event. And so the way we handled being outside is, if you go to the Presentations for Students page, and there's a QR code here, I hope it's not too small. If you go there, there are handouts, and I think they're probably too buried on our website. But we use these handouts at Minds all the time. Every time we do a student event, we have these handouts for the students. The students are excited to take them so they can go home, look at the data some more, and also share it with their parents or other people that they want to talk to about this potential career decision. And so we used the handouts. We made a little packet. The first page was a QR code to sign in because our campus required that we keep track of everybody who comes to our event, in case there's a problem, and then in case somebody gets sick, then you know, for the contact tracing. And then we also had a QR code for the pretest. And then in the packet were our handouts, and so you can see there are 2 front and back page handouts. They have all of the data that's contained in the presentation, and then we had our flyer front and back for our program. And this is also on the website. We have, it's called the flyer template. And so it's designed to have the tested messaging built in. It gives you a format, and then you can put whatever you want to about your own program there, all of your own logos and information, but it just gives you an idea how to use the tested messaging and the taglines and so on right in your flyer about your program. So here was our packet, and then I just talked through the packet because I didn't have slides, and then we had the pre-post test, and you saw the results. The students, the outcome was, I think it was an 80% post-test score. So it worked. It was pretty okay. I felt like they maybe didn't ask quite as many questions, but they were also freezing because we did it at 5, and by the time the sun went down, everybody was kind of chilly because they arrived without coats on. So Other than that, they stayed twice as long as they normally would for an event. They were there for 2 hours, even though everybody was freezing, and we had really good engagement. So that seemed to be a success. We've had a steady stream of virtual advising appointments this fall. We've worked specifically with a few faculty who've gotten the word out for us, and we have the healthiest enrollment we've ever had during this crazy time. And so we have, after signing up this last couple weeks ago, sign up ended because this is December, even though you're watching this video in January, but don't get me started on that. We have really good enrollment in both of our courses, and by the time the semester starts, I think we're going to be in excellent shape. We've had a lot of students really interested in the teaching profession this fall. So some other institutions have shared some of what they've been doing. Bridgewater State put together this really fun video challenge. It's a video challenge about a physics problem, but they were they did a really nice job of talking about some of their students who are pursuing physics teaching and talking a little bit about their program. And so that's fun to watch. It's short. It's really well done. The QR code is here for that. I know of several universities, including the University of North Georgia, Brigham Young University, and Miami University, who've all put together interactive virtual Canvas presentations. And those seem to be engaging the students, and they've been following through with what they're asked and have shown growth in their knowledge about the profession. And then West Virginia University put together a nice teaching career video along the same theme of what our video was. Okay, so we have updated our How to Reach Students resource page on the website. Again, here's the QR code to find that, with some of these ideas and things that we've learned from different institutions about how they're adjusting. Just really quick, I'd like to also share a couple other resources that we've updated. We've updated our poster series. So they're designed to be posted together now. You can also post them individually. And they could be printed very large scale, 3x4, for example, or you could print them on 8.5, 11 sheets. I think they're better, bigger, but whatever resources you have available, and you can lay them out horizontally, or you could lay them out in a mosaic, a different sort of pattern. They've been created in PowerPoint, so they're quite easy to modify. You can drop in your own pictures. You can definitely put in the link to your program and name of who students should go to if they're interested in teaching. We've carefully tested our photos, and maybe 1 out of 10 photos that we think looks like it will work actually works with students. So if you do use your own photos, I highly recommend testing it with students first. There are 2 to 3 versions for each discipline in the PowerPoint files, and so each one has a different photo. If you want to pick a photo that seems to be a better fit for your program, again, here's the link for how to find those posters. And then finally, we're creating a GFO user guide. We're trying to create a small booklet, maybe 4 pages, that shows the resources, but also demonstrates how to modify them for your local context. So which slide to modify to drop in local teacher salaries or to drop in information about retirement benefits in your state. And it also has pointers on where and when and how each resource can be used. We've had some people say that they thought this would be useful. I'd really like to hear from you if you think that you personally would use this. And if you would use it, what would you want to see in it? Because we're just in the throes of developing it, and we can take your feedback now and actually put it into what we do. So please drop something into the comments about that, or you could even shoot me an email if you want to and tell me what you think. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Here's a QR code to our website. We have resources for recruiting teachers for physics, chemistry, and math. We've modified things for our virtual or even an outdoor environment, and we have evidence that these things seem to be working for helping people learn about the teaching profession. We have updated posters, and we're building out a user guide that I'm hoping you'll give me feedback on. So hopefully these things are helpful for you and help you in your efforts at your institution. That's why we do this. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great conference.